Bear down, Bears fans. On today's episode, we're going to be breaking down, can the Chicago Bears defense be better than maybe people believe it's going to be, or at least good enough to get the Bears some dubs? We'll talk about all that and more on today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So we've talked a lot about this Bears defense this season and about a lot of the pieces that it is missing, right? That's all we've heard about this entire offseason. They still don't have a 3 technique. They still don't have their edge rushers. Yes, they address the interior with rookies, but is that the answer? And I think that we really need to kind of look in at what the Chicago Bears team could be. I think that it's an interesting team on the defensive side of the football because to me, right, I think that, yes, you do have some issues with your DB depth, right? I think that that's the one place where I look and I say there's not a ton of depth there. If we lose anybody this season, if anybody goes down to injury, we're in trouble. But when I do look at the starting lineup of the guys that probably will be slated to be in there, I do get excited. And I think that this Bears team starting wise has one of the best DB backfields that you've seen that you can find, at least in the NFC. I mean, you're talking about Jalen Johnson on one side. He's back at OTAs today, by the way. Good to see him returning to play. Good to see him in there working with his guys yet again. He's going to be now opposite of Tyreek Stevenson. Tyreek Stevenson, to me, is a guy who's going to be able to make a really quick impact in this league. I think that they're going to attack him a lot, but his length, his quickness, his ability to be able to get in front of the passing lanes and different things like that, I like what he's going to be able to do there. So I don't think that he's going to be the guy that ends up getting cooked in his rookie year, right? I'm sure there'll be a learning curve, but I don't think he'll end up getting cooked. And I think that that's a step in the right direction. When you think about a guy much like Kyler Gordon, who last season at the beginning of it, Kyler was brought here to be a slot guy who now he gets to be that guy. If Kyler's not being the slot guy last season, right, they've got him opposite Jalen Johnson. Now we're sitting there looking and we're like, hey, I don't know about Kyler Gordon, man. Like, we brought him here for this and he don't look very good. Yeah, well, you know why? Because he was being brought in to play out of position because there was no depth at that position. And I think that that is the one thing that I look at the defensive side of this football and it does get me excited about. These guys are coming in knowing the position that they want to play. They know what they should be practicing for. I think that Kyler Gordon will take a step this season when you look at that DB room because when you look at him being able to just focus in on the slot, him being able to just focus in on what he was drafted and brought here to do and how he's going to be able to go out and just be able to attack. I think that that makes such a big difference in his comfort level as well, because not only can I focus on it, but I can focus in on every minutia detail that this position brings. And of course, right, I like talking with Alan Williams. Courtney did that last week during training camp. And I think that she was going to be able, I think when she asked, right, like, what do you think that Kyler Gordon is going to be? How is he going to be able to go out there and be able to affect the game at the slot position? They talked about how he's going to be able to affect the game because he's going to be able to focus in on it, but it's not just taking him completely away so that when he gets outside, he's trying to figure out where his steps are, where he should be. After 5 steps, how does he break? How does he attack? All of those different things. You know what I'm saying? I think that those are the things that I look at with this Bears defense as a whole, and they get me excited. And I'll take case in point on this, right? Eddie Jackson, rookie year. Everybody loved Eddie Jackson. We thought Eddie Jackson was amazing. Eddie Jackson comes out next year, still looking like that guy. Then all of a sudden, right, we start to look at a guy in Eddie Jackson who we're asking, okay, what's going on with him? Why is he not playing the same way? Why is he not attacking the same way? Why is he not coming away? 2 years, I believe, right, where two seasons in a row where he didn't come away with an interception. But I think at the end of the day, the main thing that really points to that is he had to play a position that was not him. He didn't have the ability to just go out there and be free. Didn't have the ability to go out there and be the ball hawking safety because he was the last line of defense no matter what. And if you looked at how his game tape was, He wasn't the great last line of defense. He's the guy that's going to be breaking in on the defense and coming in and getting those takeaways, getting those big hits, laying the boom, knocking the ball out. That's what you wanted Eddie Jackson to be. But then all of a sudden you add Jaquan Brisker back into that equation. And I think that all of a sudden we saw Eddie Jackson blossom again. He was able to play free. He was able to go out there and be that ball hawking safety that we love, the guy that was supposed to get that contract, right? And I think that that's kind of, to me, what the Bears have done with the defensive side of the ball this year. There's some pieces underneath when you look at the depth chart, guys like Noah Sewell, Javon Dexter, Zach Pickens, who you're hoping are going to push those veteran guys to be better. But at a minimum, we're talking about those pieces underneath as guys that we think are going to be able to come out and make plays in the position that they were brought here to be in. Tremaine Edmonds coming over, TJ Edwards coming over. These guys are figuring out now that about how to learn their position, how to play this position to the best of the ability for the team that is here. And they come in with the experience of the team that they were once on. So I think that all of those things really play a part in the Chicago Bears moving forward, being able to come out and give you some good production. I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you guys as well. Do you think that this defense is going to take a step in the right direction? I really do. When I look at the back line of defense, I feel really good about it. I do think that there are some question marks on the front line, and we'll get into that as well. The one thing that I do like to hear, right, Dominique Robinson spoke on ESPN 1000 yesterday, and he talked about kind of how, you know, he's trying to be great this season. He's trying to improve his game this season. And so, you know, he says he wants to go out there and he's going to be working with Robert Mathis, the all-time sack leader for the Colts, at the start of training camp, and he's trying to get better. And the one thing to me that I look at with a guy like Dominique Robinson is that he's going to be a key piece on that front line of defense when we're talking about edge rushers. And remember, he's the only sack that Trent Williams allowed last season. It was because he picked up on something technique-wise. Dominique Robinson, to me, the fact that he's looking at the technique of guys, and he kind of did this later on in the season. He did that early on. Listen, gave the secrets away. Maybe don't give the secrets away, right? And apparently Trent fixed it because all of a sudden Dominique Robinson or nobody else got a sack on him the rest of the season. But I think that, to me, when I look at a guy like Dominique Robinson on that defensive line, I think that he's the reason why, right? Guys like him, Travis Gibson, who's in a contract year, are the reason why the Bears are being a little more cautious with these edge rushers that are out here. I would love to have a guy like Yannick Ngakoue on this team. I would love to have, I don't know if I'd love to have a Leonard Floyd, but a Frank Clark, right? Guys like that. I would have loved to have those guys on the team. I still would love to have either of those guys on this team. But at the end of the day, the teams that do go the farthest are the teams that build this up through the draft. They're the teams that find the diamonds in the rough, find the young players. And the one thing that I'll say about Dominique Robinson that does really, right, like I look at his game and I say I can absolutely see something there, is that 2 years ago he was a quarterback. 1 year ago, or I'm sorry, 3 years ago he was a quarterback. 1 year or 2 years ago he was a wide receiver. A year ago he's a defensive end trying to make this transition in the NFL, and he made some strides. And I think you have to look at kind of how he picked up on different techniques throughout the year, how he picked up on getting around the edge. And you also have to look at the fact that there wasn't a lot of other pressure outside of Dominique Robinson on that line. Now, there were some games where he basically just didn't get any pressure on the quarterback, but I think that's the learning curve of being a rookie, right? Like, this guy was drafted in the 5th round. He literally used to play wide receiver. We've seen him a little bit now. He's definitely looking bigger. He's definitely looking stronger. He looks more like a defensive end now than he did before, right? He looked more like a wide receiver last year, a bigger wide receiver, but he didn't look, I mean, honestly, too much bigger than DK Metcalf. And so I look at a guy like him and I say, okay, if he's going to be able to improve, if he's going to be able to improve his technique, improve how he's attacking the guy standing on the other side of him, that's why I love to hear him working with Robert Mathis, because I think he's one of those athlete guys who has all the skills to be great. Like, he's fast, he's strong, he's got a quick first step. He has everything that you want for a great defensive end. But I think last season you saw, right, he was able to pick up on things, maybe because of his ability to play on the offensive side of the football and his ability to play quarterback, those different things. He was able to pick up on little things, subtle things, but he didn't have the technique or the moves or the arsenal to go out there and be able to get to the quarterback. To me, I think that if he's able to make the most of this opportunity working with Robert Mathis and able to take something away from it that he can actually add to his game, I think that he will be somebody who you could watch out on the radar for. And I look at Travis Gibson on the other side. Listen, The one thing to me that I know players will always do is they will try to play their best in a contract situation. I think Travis Gibson can see the arrow pointing up here. At a minimum, he knows that if he gets out of here and he has a season like he has last season, he's not going to be getting the money that he's looking for. Travis Gibson was a 7-sack guy 2 years ago. He's trying to get back to that so that he can get his paycheck, just signed with Clutch Sports in the offseason. So I see him as a guy that absolutely I think is going to kind of have that bounce back season. I think that he's going to be a contributor to that outside pressure. And I think that that's going to come because when I look at the inside pressure, when I look at guys like Andrew Billings, look at guys like Justin Jones, I understand where people are saying there's not that penetrating pressure. I think that that's going to come from your rookies, right? Because what you want to do with your rookies is simplify things the most as you can, right? When you're looking at a guy like Javon Dexter, you're looking at a guy like Zach Pickens, you're literally saying, I want your life to be easier. How do I make your life easier? You have one job on this play. Get to the quarterback. Your job right now is not to play the gap. Your job right now is not to sit here and play a 2-gap system, wait for the run to come. We got Justin Jones for that. We got Andrew Billings for that. And I think that that's another point. I get to that in a second, right? Because I think that this is a very interesting thing. If all I have to do is tell my rookie, pin your ears back and go, that's what he instinctually wants to do. That's what the defensive line wants to do. They want to be able to pin their ears back and go. And I think that the flip side of that is you have Justin Jones, you have Andrew Billings. To me, those are two guys that put you in that position for you to be able to pin your ears back and go. What do I mean by that? Those are two guys that I think can make the defense or the offense one-dimensional. When you're talking about run stuffers, those guys are run stuffers. If you got speed on the outside, we also got DeMarcus Walker out there as well. You got DeMarcus Walker and Gibson who are speed guys. They can help you to set the edge. I think that if you have Andrew Billings and you have Justin Jones coming up the middle, two guys, remember Justin Jones was a heck of a run stopper in San Diego. That was what he was really known for. And then Andrew Billings, he's just a monster of a man. He takes up so much space. I think that you're going to see a Bears defense that whether they can get penetrating pressure on the quarterback every play or not, I think that they will be a really tough team to run against this year, which makes teams one-dimensional. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you look at the teams in the NFC, let's just look at the North. Are we really worried about the Packers passing game? We're more worried about their running game. And by the way, how do you help a young quarterback trying to adjust himself to the game? You get the running game going so he can sit back there and take his time and pass the football. Okay, we take that running game away. Now Jordan Love might be in a little bit of a distress. Now I can tell my rookies to pin their ears back and go. Kirk Cousins, same way. They're possibly about to cut Dalvin Cook, right? Like that's been the report. June 1st deadline has passed, and we thought that Dalvin Cook was going to be up out of there. I mean, like I think that there's going to be a transition where you're going to see that running game try to take a back seat and allow Kirk Cousins to pass the football a little bit more. I know a lot of people look at the 4,000 plus yards. They look at the completions to Justin Jefferson. But realistically, even last season, at times, they literally said, we're trying to have Kirk Cousins throw this thing like 11, 12 times, 15 times, right? I think that now second year in this system, they're going to want to let Kirk sling that football a little bit more, but he still needs that run game to be effective. We've seen that a ton of the time. If the Bears can slow that down, I think that changes the game for them. And then, I mean, listen, that is Detroit, right? They got Monty. They've got Jamar Gibbs over there, rookie, coming into that situation. Jared Goff absolutely benefits from a strong run game, as we saw last season when, I mean, like he had a really strong run game in front of him. It allowed him to play that play action really well and be able to stand back there, have a few more seconds, be able to get the football out. Making a team one-dimensional can change the mindset of the game. And I think with the DBs that you look at that the Chicago Bears have this season, that could be a case for them where up front, yes, do we have that penetrating guy? We don't know yet. We don't know if Javon Dexter is going to be our 3 technique of the future. We hope that he is. We don't know if Zach Pickens maybe takes that job. We hope that he is, right? But what we do know right now is that the pieces on this team, and I think that some of the pieces on the roster on that defensive line, they do fit a really good role. And the role right now that I see the Bears fitting is the run-stopping defense. I don't see them as a great penetrating team. I don't know how much pressure they're going to be able to generate play in and play out on the quarterback, but if you make make these teams one-dimensional, that will make the game that much easier. It's kind of cutting your field in half, so to speak, and I think that that's something that the Bears really could benefit from. But hey, I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. How do you believe the Chicago Bears defense is going to be? At the end of the day, I think they'll be good enough to keep us in games, and we'll have one of those situations where, right, like your defense can hold a team to 24, 27 points, but your offense has to still be able to put up points for you to win. 24 points, you know, somewhere in that range, I can live with that. You're giving up 24 points a week. All right, welcome to the modern NFL. You're not seeing teams give up 17 points a week anymore. If they're giving up 17 points a week, we're Super Bowl bound, boys. I'll just let you know that right now. But hey, I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Like I said, let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. As always, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again to continue watching our Chicago Bears content. Click the link on the screen or check the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.